All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Welcome to Security Guy Radio on Black Hat 2016. What's your name, sir?
Lance Cottrell.
And Lance, what's the name of your company?
Intrepid.
How do you spell that? It's not spelled the same way.
It is not N-T-R-E-P-I-D.
And is it intrepid.com?
It's intrepidcorp.com.
Okay, corp.com. All right, good. Now, what do you guys do?
We're building a secure web browser. So we're taking a conventional browser and making it secure against all kinds of malware that you might get.
Now,
Interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. We talked about the pre-show.
Right, a little bit.
And here's where I'm fascinated. I believe, and I'm an advanced user, but I'm no genius, right? My mom didn't raise any dumb kids, but I don't get everything. I just kind of assumed that, Google, Internet Explorer, they're working on these things and they got it safe. And that's really not what's going on, so to speak.
No, I mean, I think browsers are really Swiss cheese from a security
Very
point
interesting.
of view.
It's too much code. It's just too expansive, or
Right, they're gigantic applications. They're evolving fast all the time,
Right.
and they need to support so many different languages. Flash, JavaScript, Java, and plugins. There's so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
It's impossible to actually make it a secure app. And that's why it's one of the main ways that malware comes into your computer.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also hard to scan for malware because it's all real time. It could be
Right.
any content from
Oh,
any
I see.
place.
Yeah.
and you've got a
Right.
millisecond to make a decision about it.
And that's why your browser slows down with some of these applications that are scanning. It goes down to a crawl because it can't keep up with the traffic. If you want to scan it, you got to wait.
So we had a little bit of a talk beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could I'm going to try to break down how you explain your company so that our users out there, or our listeners out there can understand. But what we understand Intrepid doing is taking your internet and the browser that you're using, packaging it into your program, which is kind of holding it into this
Wrap it in tin foil.
wrap it in tin foil.
Right, like- there's
and
an
like a
analogy for
lot
it,
of your
right.
credit cards should be secured here at Black Hat. But what we understand is that through your program, you're opening up your internet browser on your local computer in a safe environment.
Right. So we've got a virtual machine, which is sort of like a vault.
Okay.
And the browser can only see the internet from inside this box. It can't see your local computer. It can't
Oh,
see your
interesting.
disk. It can't see the file system.
Because you're protecting it with like this cloak of security.
Yeah, so we've got it running almost as like a simulated computer inside your computer.
Wow.
So it can't see any of the existing operating system. So if something infects the browser, and we're using Firefox, so it's
Right.
a
Right.
browser people are familiar with,
Right.
that malware is trapped. It can't get out. It can't save to disk. It can't attack other systems on your network. And then as soon as you close the browser, we actually destroy the entire virtual operating system and recreate it again from
Oh,
a
that's
clean
fascinating.
version next
So
time.
every single time, any threats that were out there are localized and they're neutralized. And then when you start it back up, it's totally free.
Totally
Does
clean.
the user know if it got hit by ransomware, if it clicked on a phishing attack? Is
So
there a
if we
notification?
detect anything going on, we'll
Yeah.
throw an alert.
Wow.
And if they
Right.
download a file and we're scanning them in our cloud, we'll let users know that it's happened. But we don't count on being able to detect things. So we destroy the environment whether or not
Oh, I get
we
it.
ever detect
It
anything.
doesn't matter because it's just going to be destroyed and gone anyway.
And it's so short term
Instead
anyway.
of being, what's the term where they,
Cached.
where they quarantine it.
Yeah, quarantine.
It's kind of, you're kind of quarantining it temporarily, then you destroy it.
Exactly, because so much of this malware now, it's all polymorphic, it's changing.
right.
You can't really count on the detectors to be 100% effective, and you need them to be.
That's pretty cool.
So we destroy it no matter what.
So it's a very simple, I don't mean to say simple, but in my brain it is.
Yeah.
No, but
it's a simple
fundamentally
concept.
It is. Yeah.
And I asked you before the show, why does an Internet Explorer do that? Because they have to allow all kinds of moving parts and programs in there for the consumer experience.
Exactly, right.
And you probably couldn't code this in to make it work this way and make it a pleasant experience.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, because we've got it encapsulated,
Yeah.
we can run all that stuff. So if you're running a browser, you might say, you know what, I don't want to run Flash because Flash is dangerous.
Right.
But a lot of websites break if you don't run Flash. With this solution, you can go ahead and run Flash inside of it. You go to all those websites because that's not going to then cascade through to compromising your desktop, to giving
rest
them
of your
access to the
computer,
rest
or
of your data.
Or your network, for that matter.
Or your network, exactly.
And all your gambling sites are going to be erased immediately.
Among other sites.
Yeah, you don't have to worry
Among
about that
other
erase
sites.
browser.
I think we're onto something, which transitions into a good question. Who really consumes this? Is this an enterprise level, the entire network, or is this individual users trying to protect their home?
So right now we're focusing on selling this to enterprise. So a company would go in and basically replace all the browsers throughout the corporation. And for that, we actually have it instrumented to capture all of the user activity, so they can do the monitoring,
monitor,
do the
yeah.
compliance that they need. Next year, we're actually going to be rolling out a consumer version of this, which will have no tracking, no logging at all, and really is built on our history as Anonymizer. It will also provide an anonymity layer, so when you're going out on the internet, they can't track you. There'd be
Where
no
you go and
traces.
what you do. Very cool.
Oh, I got to get this.
Yeah, I think this is, so we've talked to so many different people. We talked to people with endpoint security, people with secure DNS, threat intelligence, a lot of people that are using all different types of angles to beat the next cyber threat. This is simple. This sounds
it's
simple.
It's brilliant.
To the point.
Well, the most brilliant concepts are simple.
But very, very, very cool. So,
Now, you're a scientist, and you were the founder of Anonymizer?
Yeah.
And I used that back in the day. I thought it was a
95?
fabulous program.
Yeah,
well,
back in
Internet
95,
Explorer
yeah.
didn't have all those
Right.
things. And at the studios, when we did investigations, I didn't want somebody knowing that I was pinging their. You could ping back then, right?
Right.
I wanted to ping the machine, or they knew I was looking at it, or something like that. And we used it quite a bit. It was a great program.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
So you kind of took this concept and just it just
Morphed it a
evolved and morphed it, and it's.
It did. Well, what happened was over the years, particularly after 9/11, the government realized the need for anonymity tools to do
Yeah.
their own investigations.
Sure,
And we
sure.
started building special purpose things for them. Now they're going up against really aggressive opponents, so
Sure.
they needed maximum security. And so we built out all of these things special for their applications. And then we realized that if we just removed the bits that were specific to them, we had this amazing secure browser left. And that's where passages came from.
Wow, that's brilliant.
I think it's pretty simple. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked to some, a lot of people, everybody's passionate about what they're doing here at Black Hat. It's an awesome way to hear about what's going on the next level, but this is something that everybody can use.
Yeah.
And everybody is going to be able to use, hopefully, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's critical that you can't expect users to understand security or to train for most of them.
No.
It just has to work with the way they want to work.
Right.
And be
And it's got to be
transparent
simple.
to them.
It's got to be super simple.
Now,
which
I heard
is
about some
awesome.
vulnerabilities. One of the companies here just discovered a vulnerability in was it HTML?
HTTP.
No, HTTP2,
Mm-hmm.
right? So with your program, I don't care if there's vulnerability, I'm okay.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah. So they're not going to be able to use any of these vulnerabilities to infect your computer. Now, if it's a vulnerability that allows them to, say, sniff your web traffic, that we wouldn't be able to help with.
Yeah, I understand, right.
But that'll get patched soon, I'm
But
sure.
that brings up a good question. So we've heard a little bit about how social media is actually surpassing email right now, based on the data that's being collected here at Black Hat, of ways that people are getting attacked through phishing attacks and malware. So considering all of these are on the internet, what's the value or the idea behind using your program rather than implementing a cyber hygiene within an organization to know what a phishing attack looks
No,
like?
that's a good point.
How do those two meld together? Because we see training as a huge gap right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think training is really important, and you can get people to be better at avoiding these kinds of attacks. But the phishing attacks are also getting really sophisticated. I mean, there's still the Nigerian princes that we see all the time. But if
I talked
someone's
to one yesterday.
I bet you
I don't
did.
know about you.
I'll bet you
I
did.
mean,
Princess, is that what he said?
no comment. No
Okay,
comment.
all right.
But if they actually take the time, if you're being targeted, if someone's actually going after you, they look at your social media, they look at your information, I'm convinced that you could craft a phishing attack that would take out anyone at Black Hat, let alone any of your normal people.
interesting.
Sure,
Because with the right effort, you can make it look, it's from the right person, it's with the right context.
And there's companies that do that. They're only out there to specify.
There's some
it
good
in
stuff.
training,
What I
yeah.
do now is if I didn't ask you for it, I don't care if the Pope's writing me an email and it's the Pope, I'm deleting it. That's just
It's
my
to that
policy
point.
because I
It's to
can't
that point,
decipher what's real and what's not real. And if it's really somebody real, they're going to say, Chuck, did you get my email? They're going to call me because
Yeah.
they know me.
So what you're
that's
saying,
my
Lance,
backup,
is
Yeah.
no matter how much training you ever do, no one's immune to the attack, so you might as well build a program that protects you anyway.
I think so. I mean, you can reduce the amount of what the incidences that are going to happen.
Sure.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you're never going to actually knock it all the way down. And there's always that 10% of people who are fundamentally untrainable.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or 20,
Well,
depending
going
on where
up a
you're
little
from.
bit.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Now, I think you mentioned briefly some analytics in your enterprise packages. So we're insulating each one of these browsers, but the enterprise is able to send this to the IT department to know, here's what the browsing data was. We're still to, what's the word? Police our employees.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
not a good word politically, but I don't care about that stuff. But we're going to make sure that the employees aren't really screwing us up by going to really bad sites. Because even if you're insulating them against that, it's still not a good policy.
For sure. And,
Yeah.
and you've got compliance. There may be HR issues.
Exactly.
You need to make sure
Sure.
that you can keep an eye on this. So, right, it's actually capturing all that information and capturing it in the browser itself. So you're getting all the secure websites they're going to,
Right.
get the full data. And yeah, that goes up
How do you
into
get it
our
outside
cloud.
of your, I'm going to call it a capsule. How do you get it outside of the tinfoil ball to the IT guy so he can see it?
It actually goes up our VPN connection into our cloud.
Oh,
we
okay.
store it, and then they can automatically pull it into their SIEM systems
Right.
or ArcSight or Splunk or what have you.
Hence the enterprise level businesses that you work with.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about VPN, because back in the day, VPN was the end-all of applications to get somebody in the field to dial in, and then all of a sudden VPN's no good because there's vulnerabilities. How do you guys handle that?
So we're using the VPN for a very specific purpose. We're actually VPNing from this browser out to our cloud. So we're using it for two purposes. One is for sending that things like your activity logs and so forth. And they're also encrypted within the VPN. We're also using it to send your traffic out. So when you're surfing the internet, all of the traffic in and out of this box actually goes over the VPN connection so that it originates from our IP addresses. So if someone's trying to target, like, let's say you're a bank,
Right.
a website might not launch their zero-day attack against everyone who visits the website because they don't want to lose and waste the zero-day. They're only going to hit particular targets.
Yeah.
And this is becoming a real trend now. With this, you're not recognizable. You don't look like B
Oh,
of A.
so you got the anonymizer
okay.
component there because
Exactly.
they think that your company does a lot of browsing because you're browsing for everybody else, basically.
That's right. And
Interesting.
right, there's no characteristics of interest,
Yeah.
and you're certainly not the guy they're individually targeting. You're not Bank of America. You're not, some big financial
Christian
or health
Mingle,
group.
number 2 social media site now.
Yeah.
Same thing, yeah. You wouldn't think that, right?
No, you wouldn't think that.
No.
That's interesting.
So number one is Facebook. Number 2 is Christian Mingle. And I can't remember the third one.
Wow.
But I just got a briefing on that. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. So who gets hacked? It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's with the targeted phishing attacks. Targeting seems to be one of the big trends because it allows you to handcraft the attack and
Right.
get through the basic training. It's
Right.
no longer a simple thing. It is
Targeted.
tailored to the person using
phishing,
the best exploits using a 0-day, something you
Sure.
know is going to make it through the detection software. And so ideally, if they can't recognize you, that attack, the best defense in the world, the attack never even happens
Yeah.
because you don't look like who they wanted to attack.
Now, what about bring your own device? Can you handle that? Because this is a big problem for vulnerabilities.
Yeah, so a lot of the companies that we're talking to actually want to deploy this onto their users' computers. So they say, yeah, go ahead, use this, access our intranet, access whatever pages you want, but we want you to use this browser
It's like
on
a
the
security
device.
nest then, right?
Exactly.
So being
And-
able to bring it to whatever device.
Well,
you have.
And there's tracking issues then, if it's their personal computer, they
How are
probably
they
need to
seeking
turn off the monitoring because
What about phones, though? Is there any? Can it work with phones?
We're not doing anything with phones yet. And it's interesting. Everyone asks us about mobile security, but it's interesting. It's almost none of the hacks. You never
I was just
see.
about to comment. What's there's not as many as there are on
There aren't.
on
And
desktops.
the phones that get compromised, it's either physical access, and you see lots of those hacks here at Black Hat that someone has a way of breaching your phone if they have physical access to it.
Right.
But that's not a typical case.
Okay.
Right.
Or it's a bad application that you installed off some third-party app
Yeah,
store,
sure.
and it's a Trojan horse. No one is getting infected through the browser on their phone right now.
Oh, that's
so we're
interesting.
looking
That's
at it,
interesting.
but it just
Yeah.
doesn't appear to be a vector that's happening. And I think it's because they are in fact more tightly locked down than general purpose computers.
Someone else told us that today. Right. That your phone is a safer computer than your HP.
For sure.
Interesting.
And the attackers are smart. They're going to go after the low-hanging fruit. I could spend a huge amount of work developing an exploit for an iOS or an Android device, or I can do almost no work and exploit your Windows machine. So what am I going to do?
To follow up on that, we had some great conversations with people, experts in the industry about ransomware, about that low-hanging fruit, about where ransomware artists and experts are actually fitting on the criminal chain. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, it's clearly an exploding attack methodology, and I think there's two
minimizes the
reasons.
middleman, easy to gain access to the money, but
Right, it's direct money.
Right.
You're not having to resell something else. You're not taking credit cards and then trying to kite them across some dark
Yeah.
net. You get paid directly by the victim, and they're highly motivated to pay. And I think also some of the other methods are becoming less effective. I mean, if you look at what the the price for 1,000 stolen credit cards is, it's a couple dollars now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just
That's
don't make any
amazing.
money stealing credit cards.
Yeah.
So now
are
you got to go
most of the-
somewhere else.
so are most of the
Capitalism at its
hacks-
best.
Unfortunately, yeah.
It's a ever-changing economy. It moves really quickly. It's
Lance,
interesting how it works.
Thanks for coming on Security Guy Radio. Fascinating discussion. You want to come on and do an hour show someday? You're welcome.
I'd love to.
It's a great topic. You getting your sales doing okay?
Things are going really well.
All right,
Yeah,
excellent.
getting a lot of traction.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, we'll see you
Thanks
again.
talking to us. Thank you so much.
50 minutes, right on the button.